Hey guys, I'm Jay Randall. Welcome back to my channel where I discuss wisdom for the modern man. Today, guys, I got another video to react to. This one is brought to us by the YouTuber Zuby. He's doing a interview with Fresh from Fresh and Fit. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
The potential consequences of the reckless womanizer, because there are many levels of potential consequences for them.
Yes.
There's there's the moral aspects, there's the ethical aspects, there are the legal and financial ramifications, there are the potential health ramifications. It's just messy. Which is why with that particular piece of advice of go out and sleep with at least 50 women. I know that's more of a Myron thing than a you thing. But I'm just like, yeah, that's really horrible advice on multiple levels if people are to take that literally and go and act it out. In fact, if someone were to do that, probability-wise, just the chance that at least one of those women even would get potentially pregnant is pretty darn high. And now you're either having conversations about killing your child or becoming a parent to parenting a child with a person you may not even like
I care about,
let alone love, which is whether from the male or the female perspective. Yes, I'm aware that this happens by the millions around the world, but I'd also argue that's one of the biggest problems that's plaguing our society in general and messing things up.
So you brought a very good point.
Yeah.
The morality and also the actual consequences of these actions, right? My question to you is, what's the better solution, you would say? Because at that point, the solution in itself...
At which point?
Because hold on.
Okay.
So his thing is 50 women, at least you should have experience with to actually talk to, date, see what you actually want. He didn't say have sex with all of them. He just said experience 50 women in that context.
He's outright said sleep with 50 women.
Well,
he said that.
Well, in the nuances of it, of course. Will you always do that? No, but
no, not everyone even can.
But
do
the
that,
blanket statement is going to be yeah, of course. But my thing is at that point, what is the better solution to meet women, understand them, and actually know which woman to pick for you? And
Here's the thing, because I've heard Myron from Fresh and Fit talk about sleeping with 50 women, and he does advocate that. And I understand, as a guy who's been out there and dated, as a guy who's come from a serious lack of experience, right? When I started off in this red pill thing, actually it was before red pill. I was just at a point in my life where I had zero experience with women because I came from a very religious background. So I just avoided women like the plague because they were seen as, the gateway to degeneracy and just sin, which I understand why my parents instilled that in me. But a consequence of that is that I did not have experience when I, was in my 20s. So going from being experienced to getting out there and doing cold approach pickup and really reinventing myself, going from a guy with a lack of experience to a guy with a bunch of experience who now is able to actually coach men on this, is that there is definitely the need for knowledge when it comes to women, and you gotta be out there in the field. You actually gotta date. You actually have to get into relationships, because there's certain things that you will only figure out about women and figure out about yourself through dating. And so I understand the mindset of you need to go out there and gain experience. Now, how much experience is the actual question? Do you need 50 women in order to go from a guy who is, completely blue pill, lacks experience, and doesn't know what the reality of the situation? No. Okay? You don't need 50. 50 is kind of crazy when you think about it, right? 50's up there. I would say, if you're actually dating women and being in relationships with them, I would say by the time you get to honestly 7, 8 women, because sleeping with women isn't going to teach you that much. It'll teach you how to be attractive. It'll teach you game and stuff like that, and you'll get good at that. But it's through dating women that you really learn the realities. Okay, not just getting them in bed. Getting them in bed will teach you how to, you know, use your sexuality and actually communicate in that sexual sense of the dynamic, but the ins and outs of what it takes to be in a relationship, you'll learn through actually dating them. And I think by the time you get through like 7, 8, 9, 10, you know enough. You know quite a good amount. You pair dating like 10 women with red pill information and you're good. You don't need to go down the whole degenerate path of sleeping with 15 women. But that's just my take on it. But experience is definitely a must.
Today, as you know, Zuby, dating women is hard because you don't know from head to tail what she actually wants fully. She may play games, she may act like she wants. You just really don't know until you actually have experience with women to understand what they want.
I get that, and this is an interesting conversation because this is where if you take the two sort of extremes, let's say you have like the secular red pill on one side, and you have the, let's call it the Christian or religious conservative on the other side. Okay. In that former sense, I understand the logic and the thinking behind the argument of, okay, if you're a young man, you've got to go out there and gain all of this experience so that you know what you're dealing with and you can discern between different types of women and you can see what you like and you can see what you don't like and so on and so forth. And if you remove any type of religion or traditional morality away from it, and you're just running on this consent-based morality, which, by the way, is like a very liberal and feminist concept, if we're being honest, then cool, just go out there, live that hedonistic lifestyle, and there's nothing, quote unquote, wrong with it as long as it's consensual. I can understand the frame of that thinking, and then you've got the complete opposite end. And I think that these worlds sometimes, firstly, there's a lot of middle ground here, but I think they often miss each other because there are certainly a lot of people who are, I don't like to use it, let's just say the tradcon, right? Let's just say pure traditional conservative, could be Christian, could even be of a different faith, could be Orthodox Jewish, whatever the case may be, right? And particularly if those individuals are older, they often underestimate just how much the situation has changed in the past 20 years, like
social media,
50, 20 years, 10 years, let alone 50 years, right? So there's, so when our parents or grandparents got married and settled down, the world looked very different in many ways. It was different socially, culturally, technology, expectations, the amount of people we had access to, social norms. It was just a very, very different environment. And so do those basic lessons and principles and certainly the ethics and morals, I think those are universal and timeless. However, people are dealing with a new challenge, right? If you take a 20-year-old man or woman in America or in the UK or in Canada, any Western country, and they're now currently in the dating and mating environment, it is not the same as it was for their parents or their grandparents.
I think rough.
Right? I know. And I think that's massively underestimated by people on that side. And they don't really want to go into the weeds of, okay, well, what about social media and dating apps and like,
Can I add real quick?
Go ahead.
Before he goes, I 100% agree with what Zuby just said. I've even had this conversation with my own parents. I'm at that age, I'm 27, and me and my other two brothers are at the age where, your parents start getting on you about, all right, we want grandkids, you dating anybody? We want you guys to get out there, start dating. And I am dating, but they want they want grandkids, but they don't understand the landscape in which we're dating in. And I remember sitting at the dinner table with them, quite a few months back, and for the first time actually explaining to them, like we literally sat there for like an hour with me and my other two brothers were there as well. We're at the dinner table, and I explained to them, just kind of dip their toe into like, well, here's what we're facing. Me and my brothers are facing in the dating marketplace. Here's what's going on. Here's the mindset of the women. Here's what's changed. Here's what's drastically changed. And here's what's just absolutely messed up. And I just remember the look on my mom's face just being just blown away. Like, this is actually happening. But up until that point, they really didn't understand the struggles that we're facing and what we're really up against. Because guess what? I could find a girl easy. It's not. I am at that stage where I can easily get girls and attractive women, and at that, and I could get those girls to wanna, be in a relationship, have babies, all that thing. So I could get a girl, get kids, get some, but then get divorced. 7 years later, 5 years later. So the question is, do you want me to just get a girl, get some kids, or do you want me to actually take the time to find a worthy woman with morals, values, principles, integrity, modesty, and actually have a long-lasting relationship? And I just remember being at the table and my brothers literally just like shaking their head in agreement with me, like, yeah, this is what it's like out there. And my parents just really didn't understand that. So honestly, and guys, I know I'm sure you can hear the rain. Just try to ignore that. But yeah, it's a different landscape out here, and a lot of the older generation just really doesn't understand that. They're just like, why can't you guys just just date, get a wife, get a girlfriend, and just get married? It's simple. Not anymore. It's not anymore.
Brought up my situation, right? Mm-hmm. And 50 women that Myra mentioned, right? Could you imagine if I married that woman? Could you imagine if I actually made her a serious woman in my life? Mm-hmm. Could you imagine if I actually put her in my life long term?
Can I ask you a kind of pointed question? And I'm not asking this as like a as a gotcha or like as an insult or anything. But given your experience, how did you land yourself in that situation?
You know what's funny? In that situation, I was in control. Even though like it seems I wasn't, is because how she did it, how she like recorded my conversations and put it out there. It was a gotcha moment in that sense. But it was all under my guise, because like, again, I'm having fun. She's just accompanying me on my fun stuff. And it's not like I'm like wifing her. It's just like I'm like having fun with it. I'm not really like taking her that serious. So in that sense, it's like, okay, I'm having fun here. I understand what it is. I'm not delusional.
But why invite a woman like that into your life in any way, shape, or form?
Bro, I love whores, man. See.
What does that mean?
People forget, bro. No, hold on.
Okay.
People forget, right, that I am not Myron. I understand what I like. Mm-hmm. I know what I want to get into. Right? So yes, am I playing a dangerous game of messing with? Sometimes yes.
Why?
Because it's fun. No, hold on. You have to understand something, Zuby.
Okay.
Dealing with boring girls, to me, bro, it's kind of like, how to explain this? I've had so many.
Did you say boring girls?
Yes, boring girls.
Okay.
Okay. So the argument is, who would you wife? A regular girl that's going to be conservative, stay home with the kids, and have fun, or from the streets? Obviously going to say conservative, chill girl that doesn't get around, obviously, right? Which I agree. That's what I would want. But right now where I'm at, bro, I just want to have fun. Because obviously speaking, I was married before, I had good girls in my life. I just don't want that right now.
Don't you think you sound kind of like some of those young women on your podcast?
No, hold on.
Okay.
I was just about to say the same thing, the exact same thing. Literally, he's experiencing the male version of what the women do when they say, I just want the bad boy, the exciting guy, the drug dealer, the a-hole, the Chads and Tyrones. They say they want that, but they know they should be dating the good guy. The guy's going to take them seriously, treat them right. And this is one of the downsides of honestly being like a degenerate out there, and just like, I wouldn't even say being a degenerate, just dealing with, just being a womanizer in general. You tend to not care too much about the quality of the woman. You only just, is she attractive or not? That's the only thing you're really, looking at. And you kind of, in a sense, get addicted. This is if a guy is out there dating the hoes for way too long. You get addicted to the thrill, the insanity that they bring into your life. It becomes like it's like alcohol. At first, when you first taste alcohol, you're kind of repulsed by the taste. It doesn't taste good. until you develop a tolerance for it and you start to develop a taste for the alcohol, despite it tasting bad. And that's what it's like when you date really bad women for too long. It becomes your preferred taste, even though you shouldn't be. It's not good for you. And so, yeah, he sounds exactly like the chicks that date the bad guys, even though they know that they're inviting a bunch of chaos, a bunch of drama into their life. They do it anyway because they want the thrill. Fresh is dating for the thrill, and he's become addicted to the really bad women, which it happens. That's why, even if you're going to be out there, man, do not date the crazies, do not date the toxic ones, because God forbid you become addicted to those type of women. Oh, man.
But here's the big difference, right?
Okay.
I'm doing it on my terms, and I understand the ramifications of all this happening. So yes, I did mess up 100% by even dealing with a woman in the first place.
Yeah.
Granted, though, like in the same instance, in the same breath, you ask me the question, how could this happen to you if you're so versed on women? And my thing is like, you're right. This one time here where like I didn't see it coming of her going to this extent to try to expose or something, expose whatever. I didn't see it happening. I completely was caught by that. But remember, I was only with her for like 15 days in total, right? So obviously I'm talking to her, gauging her like body language, how she's moving, and I'm seeing certain things. I'm like, yeah, nah, that's not cool actually. Yeah, nah, that's a little shaky. I told her to leave. Remember, if I didn't have this experience at all, I'd be like, I'm gonna go with a ride. I'm gonna get her that apartment. I'm gonna stay with her and marry her long term. I would have been totally destroyed at that point, right?
Yeah.
But I caught it and I deaded it right there. So even though, yes, I did fall into that trap of even being in the situation itself, getting rid of her and getting her out of there, if I didn't have the Noah fall, I would have been completely destroyed. So I think, yes, I did mess 100%, but the level that I was actually messed up wasn't that catastrophic in that sense. That's what I would say. No, is it right? No. But dealing with, that's it can happen to anybody.
Yeah. So why? I mean, I'm curious. You've said multiple times on this podcast that you love,
Yeah.
and you like dealing with.
My new name is the Whisperer, apparently.
Okay,
But I'm not saying it's a good thing because I've actually had a change of heart because my mom called me. She's like, listen, I'll always have your back. I have friends call me, and it's like, is it worth it sometimes? And sometimes it's not, because in the same breath of it being fun and exciting and not fulfilling, it's almost like if like you are playing with fire.
yes.
And at any point you can get burned. And in this situation, I was burned by her. Now, did that affect me mentally and physically? I would say yes, because I was like, you know what? I'm taking a break. I'll take a little break from dealing with women like that.
Yeah.
And it's more peaceful. But to be frank, the excitement I get from is it's
an
funny,
addiction.
bro. It's funny, bro. but I'm saying this to everyone out there so they can learn from my mistake, is that, yes, just understand, if you do, you might get burned.
Yes.
Not physically, but, from either.
I think the Bible has some warnings about that.
Exactly.
So men have clearly been dealing with this for thousands upon thousands of years.
And I'll never forget the story of King Solomon, the wisest man in the Bible known to date. And he had the entire kingdom of Israel under his control. God gave him wisdom, understanding, gave him the best knowledge a man could ever have or wish for. And it just took one woman to destroy his kingdom.
Yep.
And he had 1,000 women, wives mixed between concubines. I just think in that moment, for myself, I made the mistake. I take that 100%. And moving forward, what I'm going to do is have fail-safes where this can be avoided. And the best way to be real, Jizubi, is to have one woman that's not a in your life. That's the best way.
Hey. Fresh is all about that monogamy game now.
Well, hold on. I didn't say no, but I'm getting to that point. I'm working towards that point right now.
But you know what? That's growth, man. And the thing is, Fresh, he comes from a Christian background. He even says himself that at one point he was, on track to becoming a pastor. So he knows right from wrong, and he is willfully choosing to do wrong. But it seems like that situation, hopefully, based on what he's saying, is pushing him down, the other path to actually, doing the right thing, finding a good woman. And bro, it's hard for me to judge because any guy, would have to have a serious, conversation with himself to try to go against that kind of temptation. As a guy like Fresh, who has millions of dollars, incredibly famous, access to women and venues and, people of high status, he just has so much access to like literally so many women, and a lot of attractive women, are constantly, I'm sure, trying to get at him. And so it's any guy can understand the difficulty it would be to actually maintain that level of discipline and not indulge in the hedonistic lifestyle. So I can't even 100% get on him for that. All I can do is, just hope that he, for one, in the very least, deals with better women and, does not hit it raw, because these girls out here will get you caught up quick. But, with that being said, let's continue.
Look, I think what's interesting is, there's different ways like lessons can be learned, right?
Yeah.
And so there's the direct experience, and then there's, sometimes, you can just read or hear about something and that's sufficient. There is seeing other people's mistakes and going, okay, I'm not going to do that. And then there's also going through it yourself personally. And depending on exactly the situation and the consequences of that, again, this applies to men and women. This is not like unique to either sex, right? I don't know how many single mothers there are out there in the world who, wrong dude, and next thing you know, right? It's a common story, and so it's just interesting. Like, okay, that's why I'm curious as to, not just like the past, but okay, in the future, you are getting older, hopefully getting wiser. Your platform is continuing to grow. And so I'm thinking, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Actually, there's a couple parts to it. My first question is, long term, when it does come to relationships, marriage, children, and so on, like what's your personal aspiration in that regard?
So eventually, of course, I want to have a woman that I love and adore, that I want to be with long term. Kids, possibly. Okay. I'm not sure if I want kids yet, so to speak. Maybe in the future, but not right now.
Okay. Do you think 30 years from now you would want to, like, if
I was 61?
Yeah.
That shit old.
Okay. Yeah, but Lord willing, you'll get there. When you're 61, what would you want your life to look like?
From a life still, I would, God willing, I would say, well,
maybe that's too far. Let's say 51.
Let's say traveling the world with my girl, maybe a kid that's almost like raised, is being taken care of as well, and maybe like a couple friends that we have fun with, But I think for me, it's more like I've seen things work where it's not conventional. Like I have a cousin up in St. Augustine, super successful guy, multimillionaire, huge mansion, cars. His girlfriend lives down the street from him in a separate house.
Yeah,
and they're the happiest couple I've ever seen because they don't argue, they don't have fights, they don't get quarrels. They just come together, have sleepovers, maybe travel, eat food, and go separate ways. But that space they have between each other and that understanding is so important. Now, is it for everyone? No, of course not. I'm just saying, for me, what I've seen works. And then, for example, I have another couple that my family know, and they're like best friends. They don't argue about money, any of that stuff. It's almost like if like their friendship is so good. We're like, again, just understanding and trust. And for them, it's like, all right, we decided we don't want no kids. We just want to have fun, travel the world, and eat good food. That's understanding. And I see as well, other couples were like, they're married, they got married by the church, they've been together for years, but there's bickering, arguing, there's a lot of fights in between. But on paper, they look good to the world, like, oh yeah, we're a happy couple in church, but behind closed doors are fighting. And then other couples were, for example, like, everything's peachy clean. Obviously, there's some arguments, but it's still happy. So either way you look at it, there's good and bad between each of these examples. Now, for me personally speaking, I'm still trying to decide what do I want to do with my long-term partner. And I think in the future, if I can have the understanding that I want to be able to, keep evolving, keep a certain lifestyle, she's cool with it, then great. If not, then I got to see in the future what that holds for me. But for right now, I would say I'm just having fun, still trying to figure out what I want. But ultimately, I do want to have someone in my life long term that I care about and adore.
Yeah, you see. Now, I hear what he's saying, and I can tell that he's trying to mix the two worlds. He's trying to take a little bit of the world, the secular lifestyle of, you know, having multiple women, and trying to also take a piece of like monogamy and having that structure. And the two worlds, I'm sure there are people that have pulled it off, but the two worlds rarely mix. Okay, it's typically one or the other. Now, I have been in the position where I've even questioned if I can mix the two, and what if I can, you know, set up my relationship this way. And then ultimately, he's saying he has some examples of it working, but ultimately, I don't see too many examples of it working. I think it can possibly work for like the ultra rich, where the man has so much money that he's just so irreplaceable that the woman just looks at the situation as like, I can't really do better than this, so I might as well just stay here and go along with whatever you know he wants to do. I think it can work in that situation, but I think that's so rare, and that for most people that's just not going to be the case. So for men, I don't think it's wise to try to mix the two. Plus, I don't think it would be fulfilling in a sense to try to mix the two and try to have, you know, a bunch of women while also having your wife. I think the best route is to really vet. And you know me, I'm not a guy that's going to be telling you to quickly just jump into a relationship or wife up a girl. No, I mean, you got to go through the vetting process to see if that girl is truly worth it. But if you can find a woman that's truly worth committing to, then I think it is, you know, and by that, I mean, follows your lead, submissive, not a hoe, has never been a hoe in the past. Okay, we're not taking any reformed hoes here. None of that. Follows your lead, is not a headache, doesn't bring chaos into your life, is an asset, helps you out, is supportive, God-fearing, religious, if you are a religious person. And I think that woman would be worth committing to. And from there, you have a committed relationship where it's just you and her, and you build a family together. Those relationships, from what I've seen, have stood the test of time and, you know, last the longest, have the longest longevity. You know, I know it's being pushed to have, you know, this lifestyle where you're just a single guy and you get to do whatever you want to, and then your girl's at home, you know, not doing anything, where it's open on your end, closed on her end. It can be done. It can be done. I've even done it. Okay. But like I said, that is not, it's not a recipe for the longest, most fulfilling relationships. Okay. For most people. But with that being said, guys, that's the video. If you got value from it, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, take it easy.